Welcome to episode 34 of Korea Talk. We're going to go through some LCK Summer 2016 promotion / relegation pretty quickly. And then we're going to talk about MSI and probably throw some salt around. So, joining me as ever. Haha, get it? As ever?
Yeah.
As always, Sam and Peter. So, let's jump right into the most disappointing promotion series.
Just in the interest of transparency, I haven't watched any of these promotion relegation matches in Korea, which is unusual because normally I really enjoy watching promotion relegation matches. I didn't because I poorly scheduled my time this week, so I apologize to all 7 of the viewers of the show. That I've let you down.
I believe we have done our bit, and we probably have like 40 of those viewers.
Yeah, okay, well, however many of it, I like to call them all 7. I know really there's about 100 of you, and thanks for watching every week and putting up with this and whatnot. You guys are the reason why we do this and whatnot, although we would probably do this even if we only had 7 viewers. But you guys are the reason what makes it worthwhile and makes us do it as often as we do. And I like to point out, we are still the most regular show in esports as well. We don't take weeks off. Everyone else takes a week off. When was last Summoning Insight? It was like 2.5 weeks ago. What the fuck's that all about? We do it every week without fail. Even when there's nothing to talk about, we still do it.
There's technically mostly every week something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Korea has like non-stop games every
See,
week.
I think at least me, I don't know if I can speak for Peter, but I'll speak for the fans. You probably, your missing was a blessing. There were maybe 2 games that were interesting.
Oh, yeah, this week, yeah, that was.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
week
yeah.
was just fucking garbage.
Yeah, I just watched it because there was nothing else to watch, and
Okay, so Peter, as the only person in this group who has seen Game 1 of SBENU ever, I saw the last 5 minutes, saw most of the kills, and was like, "Wait, why does it say 76 in Game 1?" Because I was gonna wake up late and watch the first game, like watch the second and third game, and I saw the end of Game 1. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a rough game."
There were so many times that ever went for Baron or they lost.
They got 4 of them.
Yeah, they lost too many players after they got to Baron, or they just never got to Siege with the Baron because they have poke comp, but they can't actually hit the turrets very well because they're short range poke comps. And then when they try to dive, they're just walking to the right, so they get a bunch of kills. It was such a fucking mess of a fight of a game where then there was always something bad going on both sides, but at the very end, ever finally broke the base.
I just like that there were 11 dragons and 4 barons, and I think that is enough to want to just completely kill yourself.
Yeah.
Holy shit, SBENU vs. Ever was a 76-minute game.
Yeah.
Yes, Loken broke the CS record with 767 CS.
Was there a
They had 15 kills. 15 kills.
Yeah,
there were 11 dragons taken. There were 15 kills.
So both teams got the 5 dragon buff.
Yes.
How many barons were taken?
4.
Ever had 4.
All by Ever.
Oh, okay. But Ever still lost?
No, they won.
No, Ever won. There were as many dragons and barons as there were kills.
Okay, but wait, hold on a
How
second.
fun.
So, was there a rock portal built in this game?
Not at the end.
No, don't think so.
So Loken's 700 something CS was legit.
Yeah, it was a 76-minute game, and you're playing Sivir. You get all the farm.
It wasn't like where Froggen broke the CS.
No.
At a certain point in time, Loken would push W, and it would kill every minion.
Yeah.
One W would just kill.
I played Sivir. When you get 6 items of Sivir, there is no such thing as waves anymore. They just, especially when you've got a static ship as well, you can take them out with 1 auto attack kind of thing. Whatever static ship doesn't kill, the ricochet procs will do. Okay, fair. So why did the game last so long then?
They just were never able to push out and actually get they were never able to finish the game, and always when they tried to push for turrets, they did something stupid. So SBENU got a couple of kills, or at least forced them out, got them low, so they had to recall. It was very.
See, the way you're talking about this, Peter, with they trade objective for a couple kills. It sounds like what you mean to say is they trade objective and someone would get chunked out low and they couldn't.
Not really.
And they would go and try and poke, and someone important would get chunked out low,
Yeah.
and they'd have to recall. And
'Cause
it was never like a kill. But
You
it
also,
was
yeah, it
close.
was definitely an issue because every time SBENU had like such an advantage and they like got poked by virus arrows and they had to stop pushing out and they had to go back again, you know, because you're playing with Lulu, gives shields but no sustain or anything, so you get poked out, you just have to retreat. And
So SBENU picked Rise, Lulu, Rek'Sai. Like, how did those picks do? Like, did they do
Well,
anything or?
There were not just this game, but another game. Soul was given Rise, and I don't expect him to ever carry a game. So I think that was a garbage idea.
Flawless was definitely not great on the Rek'Sai, like at all. He had a pretty poor series. When Bless played Rek'Sai, it was a lot better actually. Bless looked pretty good on it, but when Flawless had to play, it was so bad. Like he often just went in, like in with the tunnel, and then that kind of did not knock up and just got chunked and pretty much died. And Sassen had to constantly ult him to just not die. It was really poor performance.
Wait, so Ever have a new jungler now, Blessed? They're not using Erez anymore.
Yeah.
Do we know why they're not using Erez?
I thought he left. No, I'm not.
Yeah, I'd say
He's still, according to Lolly Sports, he's still on the roster.
Oh.
But, okay, so who is casting these games?
I think these games were Papa Smithy and
the Newcaster.
Achilles. And then the games the next day were cast by Monty and Doa.
No, Doa and Achilles.
Oh.
Doa is not casting these. I'm not.
Monty's not. You mean?
Yeah,
Monty did not cast any of them.
Okay, so it was Doa and Achilles casting the next day.
Yeah.
No, I think Doa might have cast the first game, or it was Doa and Papa Smithy, because Papa Smithy was definitely casting Kongdoo because he said Hippo was good, and Hippo is not good. Hippo was garbage.
I just watched.
Well, that tells you a lot about the games, doesn't it? If we fucking know who cast them.
I don't remember, but I'll trust you then. I guess it must have been someone else that said Hippo was having a good game.
Okay.
That was a complete fucking lie.
So
I just watched them as Doa and Achilles.
Okay.
I mean,
so I assume that when a game goes to 76 minutes, it basically is a coin flip as to which team wins. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, mostly. You just had at the end, just Soul was. They were just a lot worse in T-fighting, like in local.
The way it ended the way I experienced this game was, Ever took a Baron, and pretty much instantly killed a couple people, and then took mid inhibitor, and then did nothing for a while, and then got another Baron, and then finally finished the game.
Yeah.
Or did they get another Baron or Dragon? It was Dragon and Baron. I don't know if it was.
I think it was.
Dragon. I think it was Dragon, then Baron, then end the game. Like it was just like we need to really make sure we can end this.
Yeah, they 5th Dragon the second time, then went Baron and ended the game, I believe.
It was just disappointing.
Why did Sassen pick Lulu? This is a guy who played like 20-something champions in the regular season. Why did he go to Lulu?
I mean, there were 26 champions. Some of them are out of meta for sure.
Yeah, but like he's got a big champion.
Yeah, but they were clearly going for the speed up your carries with Ryze and Lucian, which is not smart because those Ryze and Lucian are Soul and Nuclear, which.
Nuclear was fine. The issue I had with Nuclear throughout the series was that sometimes if a fight was going bad, he would just completely bail out. And it's like, you're at full health, and they are low enough that you could Lucian, like, E in, completely kill one person, and then ult as you're walking out, and maybe chunk or force them back.
Also, like, a lot of the issues in this fight is like, well, you constantly had Sassen using the ult on Flaws or something. Well, and like, if Nuclear just had the freedom to jump in and then know he would get wild growed, he would have maybe like done more. Because in that comp, you really need the Lucian and the Ryze to do a lot of damage. The Ryze will do damage.
You need to save the protection for those two too.
Yeah, exactly. But Flawless is just died so fast all the time.
Okay.
Foxfire was really.
Okay, that's
I think like main thing like Loken was always very outstanding in all of the games.
Yeah, Loken. He played very well too, considering the last time we saw him, he did not do well. And apparently they were playing Totoro in the previous games during their challengers, during the split. It wasn't Key being played.
So okay, so when you were watching the series, I think it was obvious that this was two very low, basically amateur teams playing. I think it was sort of semi-professional.
It was a very messy first game. Yeah, it was definitely not. Great.
I would definitely say I don't know the first game, but Ever did play pretty well.
Yeah, Ever.
The next two.
The next game Ever. I mean, the third game was more like they got behind, but then they played very well to come back.
Yes.
Ever in general didn't look bad. It was just some of their decision making and things they did was like just very very poor. Well,
So-
like in ever you see some some hope. You see some good players with skill and stuff. Like SBENU was
I
just
could
like
see them upgrading Bless and Tempt. The issue being is who would they really replace them with?
Bless was
Tempt
alright,
seems
though.
to be just kind of a fine. He'll do what his job needs to do. He'll play whatever supportive mid you need, and he'll do his job. Not gonna be too great. Bless, game 3 specifically, he kind of let Crazy left him out to dry a bit too much.
Yeah.
And SBENU was
Bit
able
of the
to
issue
kind of
with
snowball against that a bit, but the issue is their snowball was directed towards Soul, and he's not a carry. There were two times I
No.
think he TP'd in and was unable to get a kill
He got-
or even
yeah.
damage because the person would dash over a wall, and he was Rise and was like, wah, wah.
Okay.
He got out team fight so many times.
So, would you say that? Do you ever look like a team that is capable of breaking into the top 8 of LCK?
Top 8? No.
I think ever are going to be the bottom. I think they're going to show better games than what SBENU does because it seems like they're more of a
Yeah.
team. The issue with SBENU is they constantly seem like they're not on the same page. There are a lot of bad engages. There are a lot of hesitations you could see, even throughout the entire season they played. Where Ever seems to be at least more cohesive. They are if they go in, they're going to go in.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
at least so
I don't
Ever
think
have
they're going to
team
be
play at
great.
least.
They're not going to do amazing, but they at least have, I think, enough team play that
They have enough
they
team
can
plans.
improve.
It's definitely some skilled players that it would definitely be cool to see Loken and LCK because he's really
Loken's very good.
good.
Their bot lane is very good as long as Key is
Yeah.
actually like on point.
Okay, because I mean, like another thing as well was I noticed in like a lot of Reddit comments, which is generally not the best place to get information from, but whatever. Like I get Reddit comments. I browse Reddit a lot when I'm at work when my pub is dead. So I work in a pub a lot of the time, and a lot of the time there's no one there, so I just browse Reddit when I've done all my jobs. I noticed like a lot of people go like, "Oh yeah, like HGK should get Nuclear as the new AD carry." Is that a joke or were they being serious?
No.
They were trying to be serious. Nuclear was the only person that seemed like he was playing the game. I think Nuclear. I mean, this is something we can talk about after too, if you want to talk about which players we think are going to leave or go somewhere. But I would say, I think the West could probably take, or China could take a chance on Flawless, Saucin, and Nuclear. I would say never have Flawless, Saucin, and Nuclear, either of those two, on your team at the same time. They seem to be
I'm pretty
have
sure.
no cohesion.
I'm pretty sure China did buy Saucin and Nuclear on the same team. So
That'll be disappointing.
Um,
They did, but Nuclear,
Yeah.
he was the only one that I saw play consistently. Like he's the only one who's like he's doing what you could ask out of this player.
Okay, that makes sense.
He wasn't like amazing carrying, but he was at least playing his role effectively.
Because it was one of those like I mean, let's say Salvation happens and Hachani leaves KT roster. Like I can imagine people making jokes like anytime a support position is open, it's like TSM Hachani or like da 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 Hachani. Like so, I wasn't sure whether it was a joke or whether it was actually them being serious.
I
Like,
mean, most Western fans like it's Korean, so let's take it, I guess. But
Okay.
no, it was like Nuclear was like not the least bad player on
Okay,
that
that's
series for SBENU.
I would say Nuclear was like the least bad, and then maybe Saucin or Flawless would come up because Flawless did have a pretty good early game for game 3.
Yeah, but only in game 3, and he was playing
Yeah.
Kindred.
So
Come on, he was
all
playing
I-
Kindred and was camping Maga. It's not very hard.
So all I want to know is basically about the series is did Ever win because they played well, or did Ever win because SBENU played badly?
I would say both. Ever did
In
look like a
game
team.
1, it was both. In game 2, it was mostly them playing better, and then game 3, well, SBENU 2 at Baron, so
So what did SBENU play below the level that we saw them in LCK regular season?
not much.
Not really, no.
They're just
Okay.
that bad.
The only
overall.
issue I had with them was that they kept putting Soul on a
Yeah,
on
it
carry.
was like oh,
So-
that's
Like he's
so-
just not good.
So that's fine if because I dislike it when a team gets relegated when it's just all that happened is they just like choked
bad
in the one bad day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so
it was not just
like-
a bad day overall. I think that they were legit
It looked like
worse than
Ever were definitely the better team. Like,
yeah.
out of this tournament, Ever was the best team. to
Yeah,
play
for
in
sure.
these two series.
Because you saw, I was like, all right, like after the game 2, I was like, yeah, Everton gonna win this. But then game 2 was like, okay, maybe Spain take this game, but Everton's still gonna win. But then Spain even threw that game, so it was like, okay, yeah, whatever. You don't deserve to stay.
The issue I have with your question is, do I think Ever can break out of the like into the top 8?
It's really hard.
Really, like the only chance I could see that is if Longzhu really falls on their face and Jin Air really fall on their face. I think
Oh.
Ever has a chance to do that. If Africa comes back down to earth and Jin Air and Longzhu kind of
I
fumble,
mean, yeah, they could
then
maybe get. I
but-
mean, Everett could do something, but
I don't see them being any kind of threat for playoffs. I don't see
Yo,
them doing anything much. They
But-
may be able to get out of where they won't have to do relegation again, but I don't
Yeah.
really see them.
But they'll probably bring more
Making waves.
enjoyable games than Spain does.
Okay.
Yes,
I do.
they
think that.
definitely have a much more team base, which is like, yeah, it'll be more enjoyable to watch because it's more team based. It's less we rely on one player to go off with his crazy ass champion pick that's not really good, but it's because no one knows the matchup that he can get away with it. Call
Okay.
Assassin.
Very, very rarely though.
Okay, that's fine. We can move on to the next series then. I just like
Oh, yeah.
Kongdoo versus MVP now.
This was
This was so much worse.
yeah, I would say if ever in SBENU's 76-minute game wasn't bad enough,
This whole series
Kongdoo and
was
MVP, some of this was like, you have the game. No. I'm Canadian. You're okay. Here, you take the game. No. I insist. You take the game. It's like two Canadians trying to get the other one to enter the door while they're both trying to hold it open for each other.
You know, it's bad if the team that wins had to do it with almost getting 5 dragon stacks every game they won. Like, they had 5 dragon stacks the first game they won, the second game, and the third game they had 4 stacks and won the team fight around, like, just around
Game
dragonish.
2, they only had 2. Or they had 3. They only had 3.
Oh, it's Kongdoo had the 5 dragons. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
No. Wait,
No, Kongdoo had 2 Barons, 2 Dragons.
yeah.
so okay,
Okay.
so would you say that SBENU are a better team than Kongdoo or MVP?
Probably?
My issue is that MVP have a better. It's their jungler is really good.
Okay,
Like he
Yeah,
played,
he almost-
he made Rek'Sai like, wow, you can play Rek'Sai in this meta. Like,
Meta's
holy
good.
shit, who the fuck knew you could play Rek'Sai in this meta?
Well, considering all
And-
the bans, Rex made a lot of sense.
No, I mean that's what I mean. Like
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
tons of jungle bans this now.
wait, holy
Um,
shit! Wait, hold on a second. The MVP mid laner's name is Ian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ian.
Yeah. Ian, you know, from.
Ian, right? Okay, in my country, Ian is like the name that like I would give to like a 50-year-old electrician who isn't very good at his job. Like that's an Ian right there for you. Like when I think of Ian, like a part of me thinks like Ian Wright, as in the guy that played football for Arsenal for a while and was like a sort of standard bloke. Like that's not the name that I would give. Like if I was a pro gamer, and I was like, what tag's going to instill fear
Korean.
into the enemy? I know, Ian.
From what you just said, kind of matches up. I mean, what Ian showed, pretty decent play. He didn't do anything kind of crazy for the first 2 games. He was just like, okay, serviceable. And then the 2 Ari games in game 3 and game 4, I was kind of wowed by them. Not because of his play per se. He played pretty well. But the way his
Played
team
decent,
was able to play around with the Ari pick in team fights was really good.
And I'd just like to point out there's a guy right now sat at home called Ian watching this show, like, what the fuck's with the call out, mate? Like, who the fuck are you to call me out with the
No.
name Sam? Sam's one of those
If-
popular names in the world.
Okay.
Ian is
Sam, if you want to call out someone for their terrible name, call out Maha, who wants to be either Mafa or Mata, but he can't decide, and he's a terrible player.
not. Okay,
Yeah, yes.
also, just to put this out, like, here's how bad an Ian name is. I can't think of a single superhero called Ian. There are superheroes called John, there are superheroes called Peter, and there are superheroes called Sam. There's no superhero called Ian.
We're not in a name debate here, man.
Just who calls themselves Ian? That might be a worse name than Steve. That is a worse name than Steve. Steve is better.
But Steve was made up by an actual, Western person.
Exactly. So that
Ian is made up by.
I would say
Korean.
the issue being is that Ian is better than Steve, which makes it even more disappointing that his name is Ian.
who are some famous people called Ian? Ian.
He could also just pronounce it like Ian. I don't know. Because his name has An in it.
I-
And Jung Hyung.
Oh yeah, maybe you want to say I-N, I-M-N, I-N. I don't know.
Hold on a
Yeah.
sec. When I Google search for Ian, hold on a sec. What do I get?
Probably the guy from Smosh.
Oh, my Google's being really slow. Okay, here we go. So,
I got the dictionary definition of forming adjectives and nouns such as blank
Okay.
in Christianity.
wait, so
Oh,
there's
as in Ian, like Christianity.
Ian Hard,
Christian.
Ian Watkins, Ian McKellen. So Ian McKellen's not a totally bad one, but that's like a really old dude, right? Like,
He is very old.
um,
So basically, this is telling me it's a way to say like I am part of this group. I am a Christian.
yeah, it's very. All right, we'll move on from the name Ian. I just was like,
Thank
who calls
you.
himself Ian?
So back to the games. So Kongdoo MVP game 1. What did you think? Because it was kind of back and forth, but MVP once they got that 5th dragon, once they were able to do the dragons pretty well.
It's not back and forth. They had a 7-game lead. They had the scaling champions. The only thing they didn't have was dragons. There was 3 dragons down. There's 3-0 dragons, but they had 7-game leads. And then they were like, let's do Baron without clearing it first. Then clear it while we're doing it. And then not sure if you want to burst it down or wait for Graves to come in. So Graves can just smite it anyway. Dude, what the fuck is that? And then the entire lead was gone after that. And then you have MVP with same golds, 4 dragons, and then they just win because they got the 5th dragon and they won the team
Yeah, I
fight
forgot
afterwards.
about. Oh man, yeah, there were so
You had
many
to win that
dragons.
game.
Like, there were so many Baron steals in this fucking series.
Oh, it's fucking stupid. Like how many? Like this? Like they played a scaling comp that should never have in their lives lost with such a lead. Like they shouldn't have the lead to begin with, but they got it, so that was good. MVP only got dragons, but
yeah,
they constantly had kills and turrets and pressure their advantage. It was like, yeah, Kongdoo's looking good. Fucking hell, they throw at Baron, the whole 7k gold lead. Instantly, everything is gone. Game done. I stopped watching. I just fast forwarded to the end because I knew the game was going to be done. So I was like, yeah, okay, fuck this shit. I didn't want to watch the rest of it. I kind of watched what happened in the highlights. But I was like, well,
Okay.
this game was
Yeah, that was
depressing.
okay. I remember that game was terrible.
It's horrible. It was like, Kongdoo should have been 1-0 after the game. It was like, oh, well, nope. MVP, here you go. Take this win. We'll go Baron, and then not know exactly how to play around Baron and then give it over and lose the fight, and etc. I mean, they didn't even win the fight after Baron. They actually lost the fight as well. And then got picked off in bot lane. So while they had the Baron, so Kongdoo won a fight even though they were still behind in gold. Then they got the 4th dragon, and then they were even in gold, and then it was just over.
Okay, so how did Edge play overall in this series?
Good.
Edge overall played pretty well.
Edge was the highlight of their team, and it was, I mean, he played 3 Azir games and 1 Cassiopeia game. Sad thing is, I think he lost all the Azir games. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was very good in all the Azir games,
He was
and
the
it was
only
mostly the team that
player.
had a big issue playing around him. And then you
He was
also
the one
had,
player on the team that consistently did well.
yeah, you also had just in the last game, it's like beyond just fucked Edge so hard.
Oh well, game 3. Oh, we'll get to there. But game 2, we'll quickly talk about Kongdoo's only win.
Yeah, I mean,
Holy shit! I did not know Amaha didn't understand he was playing for MVP and not Kongdoo in that game. Like legit, they'd have team fights and he'd be like, "Oh, he's dead." Like the team fight would begin and it'd be like, "Wait, where did he go? Oh, see, he was playing frontline Sivir, and he insta died."
he always like got caught in an ultimate and then died because he was caught in CC while and then he tried to ult away, but that doesn't work, and you're like dead.
My biggest issue is like he would constantly
Holy
not
shit.
be with his team. Like
Yeah.
he'd constantly be coming in. Like they'd be fighting and be like, "Wait, where's their AD carry?" And then like you look at the mini map, it's like, "Oh, okay, he's coming in from mid lane. Where's getting some farm?"
You're playing Sivir, like the most team-based.
It was Sivir and Lucian, both champions he
Yeah,
played.
yeah,
He would be off doing something else
Yeah.
for
of course, but like
who knows why.
at least in Lucian he kind of could not always get destroyed, but when he was playing Sivir, it was just a nightmare. Like they got like a super priority pick, but they had no idea how to play with it at all,
He needed a dash to stay relevant.
Okay.
which is a sad fucking attribute.
Just was not good on Sivir unless you look at game 3 where Ian and Beyond and ADD just fucking shreked the top lane, jungle, and mid lane, and then Maha was like, I'm gonna just pick off some assists and look good.
Exactly, that's all he did.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. So welcome to MVP and ESC ever now.
The biggest issue I had for this series is wrapped up in Game 4, where Hippo is being praised for pushing W as Tom Kench on his AD carry in order to miraculously save. No, he just fucking pushed W because some idiot got chunked out and almost died from Ari burst. And
almost
it's not really
100.
like don't take your hat off and tip your hat to a guy who pushed a button and clicked on his ally.
Considering he had like he ulted so many times for no reason. Like he's like, I'm just gonna ult because I don't want to walk.
Not only that,
That's my kind of ultimate. Like, I'm just feeling a bit lazy right now.
Dude, legit, like it was 1 minute to Dragon, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna recall, and now I'm gonna ult back to mid lane with Cougar because, like he was ulting back while still a part of his team was recalling to base. It was like, why are you ulting like this? It makes no sense.
The bigger issue I had with Game 3 and Game 4 too.
It was.
Whereas if you look at MVP or Kongdoo's team comp, they had in Game 3 they had Echo, Rek'Sai, Azir, Lucian, and Braum.
Yeah, everyone was.
How are you going to engage?
There was a lot of issues. I mean,
like
you get beyond
you have Rek'Sai
and
engage, you have maybe Echo TP in with a flank and take some damage as you try to engage, or like it just didn't I don't understand. They were playing against Trundle, a Sivir, a Graves, and an Ahri who can all disengage pretty easily. And then they did the same fucking thing Game 4. They picked a comp that has no fucking engage.
I mean, Edge is a good Azir, but he's not an aggressive Azir.
Can't but can you really engage with Azir anymore?
Well, you can. Faker doesn't.
On like 2 people, he doesn't engage a team fight with Azir like Coco did.
True.
You got a shield.
That's true. But I mean, I'm not saying Azir, but he never tried to pick up somebody off aggressively.
So Sam,
he had good defensive play.
To sum up Edge's play, if you watched Game 4, Edge started off lane 0-3-0. He got pretty heavily camped to get Ian snowballing because Ian was able to snowball with some really good charms. He played a really good Ahri, good charms, had a sense to understand when to go in, and the team had pretty good fights, 4v5 team fights, and then he'd jump in, burst someone, and that would allow them to continue. He'd throw all his burst out, and then the team fight would completely change to them winning, and would let the rest of the team continue walking in. So Edge was 0-3-0 in lane and ended the game 9-4-4.
With only dying the last team fight, where Beyond totally fucked him over by flash unborrowing him mid-team fight. Like, they were already team fighting. I tried to reposition, and Beyond tunneled like the side of him, and then flash unborrowed onto him. So it was like insane. It was so well played, and then Edge was just dead.
The only reason the last game took 55 minutes was because Edge was so good.
Pretty much, yeah. Game 2 was also like around 50 minutes. It was just like Edge was just defensively so annoying to deal with, even though he was only 1-4. But
okay, that's fair. All right.
If there's one player that's gonna go somewhere, it will be Edge from Kongdoo. He's the only player that seems to be playing his role and playing it well.
I mean, Crush is kind of okay. I mean, he's not.
The issue is he's still a rookie, and someone's gonna have to really gamble on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you did Crush, it's like, well, you want him because he's Korean, because he really hasn't shown anything.
He had a few games during the season he looked pretty decent, but
but you still,
he makes rookie mistakes.
It's not like you're getting a complete jungler. You're just getting a Korean player that plays jungle, but it's like, also not.
You're getting a worse version of Crash.
Even in the name.
So I mean, is there anything else you have to say about that, Peter?
No.
I pretty much said my piece about the series.
Like, MVP was just overall, like, other than Beyond, I didn't feel like they had great players. I think Ian was pretty serviceable when he stopped playing Corki. And
would you say that SBENU really, really fucked up when they picked
yes.
Ever over MVP?
100%.
They seriously did. But so many people really thought MVP was the better one, but like after this week it was like, no, Ever was legit the better team. And
if SBENU picked MVP, SBENU would be in LCK summer.
Very likely, yes.
The fact that Maha was not able to do anything.
Oh, Maha's so bad.
I mean, that's the bigger issue MVP had was that they were winning team fights like 3v5, and then Ian would come in, burst some people down, making it 4v5, and then Maha may show up and die, or may show up and like, I'm gonna auto attack or press Sivir ult and get all the assists.
I mean, considering Spain had a lot of issues with Loken, they had played versus MVP, they would have had a lot less issues with the melee carry.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair. No, Spain could have that's the issue. Why we just it's not a round robin, so you don't anymore, so you don't necessarily get the two best teams. But I mean, no, Spain chose themselves; they had the advantage, and
like, I mean, as we thought beforehand, we thought SBENU would pick MVP, and then Kongdoo would be forced with Ever, and then Ever, and it would be Ever and SBENU.
So is it a shame that LCK has the old style of relegation rather than the new style of relegation which were implemented in 2016? Do you think that led to a lower quality of teams in LCK? Because obviously you're saying that MVP are worse than SBENU. So if there was the current style of relegation promotion that they use, then
they probably would have been able to.
SBENU probably would have made it into LCK. Okay, that's fair.
I don't think it's necessarily that bad, considering Spain had already 2 splits and they legit did nothing with it. I mean, come on. They looked worse this split than they did the last split.
I'm not sad that SBENU or Kongdoo got relegated at all. I don't give a fuck kind of thing. I'm just, wondering, did the promotion format affect the teams that got?
I'm not saying 100% because like MVP, like they didn't show that many styles. It was a bit weird, but probably considering the matchups, SBENU would probably have beaten MVP.
Okay.
The question you asked though is, is it resulting in worse teams in LCK? And I would say
no.
I really don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think SBENU is. I think SBENU is better than MVP, but the degree of how better are they is almost irrelevant.
Yeah, it's.
And
so, I mean, at least in these cases, I think Fresh Blood is good because then you feel like maybe these teams will do something with the spot they got.
And then you can free Edge.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can also get to free some players who were stuck in the bottom teams.
No. Okay, so anything else about promotions? I think we talked the shit out of it for how irrelevant and garbage it was. Because it was real bad.
2 bottom feeder teams got replaced by 2 more bottom feeder teams. That's as far as I've kind of analyzed. That's probably the impact. I would be very surprised if I saw
expected anyway.
Yeah.
Even if the challenge team can beat them, like they're not gonna get. They'll never be amazingly better that they would even get to top 8.
Okay,
we wasted a lot of time watching.
I just like that there are some new good players.
And it frees up the good players that were on Kongdoo and SBENU to be on other teams at least. So I suppose in that aspect, like I never really get that sad when a team gets relegated. Generally, because it means that the players that were on that team got freed up to go play for better teams, and then it means you get a new wave of talent as well that wouldn't have got into standard acquisition or like standard to getting onto like a big team or something like that.
They got also their time to shine now.
Who's excited to see some Kiwi kid playing fucking support for Energy? That's exactly what we wanted.
So I'm excited to watch Kiwi kid play support for NRG. Like I'm excited, to go get an STD checkup. You know what I mean? Like I would really rather avoid getting the STD checkup, but if I feel like I need to go get it done, then I've got to go get it done. You know what I mean? Like it's the same. I think that's a good analogy. I think NRG like had a list of about 100 support players on it, couldn't find a single one of them, so they just were like, look, we've got to get that STD checkup, we've got to get Kiwi Kid onto the team. Like I feel like that's how they kind of. I'm pretty tired, so I know the analogy doesn't really work, but like I've said STD, so that should be funny enough, shouldn't it? Really.
I was gonna say it's like drilling a hole in your head. If I have to.
Yeah, no, because I wouldn't ever have to drill a hole in my head. I have to there might be a scenario where I have to get an STD checkup, and it's the same situation. Like NRG have to field a support player, so they get Kiwi Kid.
You're saying you have to drill a hole in your head, but the doctor might if you ever have something bad happening with your brain.
My brain's impervious to damage. Don't worry about it. It's already pretty much non-existent anyway. So it's just it's like a. So instead of a brain, I have like a piece of toast that just sort of thinks of like funny things to say, basically. So more like a dreidel, like a Jewish dreidel, but I'm not Jewish. what I mean? Like it just
No,
spins.
it's a choose.
And it's like an 8-ball. That's it. It's an 8-ball. So you just shake the 8-ball, and then that's what I do in that situation. So it's like, what shall I do now? Tell an offensive joke. Ding, ding, ding. Got it. What shall I do now? Get really angry for no reason. Ding, ding, ding. Got it. You know what I mean? Like
start talking about somebody's name.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so let's talk about some MSI. So we all think SKT is gonna win, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. It's fair for the episode. I mean,
SKT will not drop a game at MSI.
Yeah,
I can guarantee it. They will not
I'd
drop
be
a game.
surprised if they did.
I would also be very, very surprised. Unless, but even if they fucking like
The
win.
The worst part is, and people are I'm going to get some fucking hate for this, right? Okay, is I think Europe right now is actually weaker than Europe was this time last year because G2 won and G2 looked good in certain aspects, but G2 play like a very much like a light version of the way Rox Tigers played. We saw what happened to Rox Tigers when they played against SK Telecom, kind of thing. Like, and also like. Here's my other problem, okay, with the G2 lineup, So G2 were not a good team until they brought on those Korean players, okay? Now, the Koreans they brought, Trick, I think, was a jungler that could have actually done some work on an LCK team. So I'll give Trick his credit where his credit's due.
He played very well.
Emperor, I will not give credit where credit is due because even though I've defended Emperor through thick and thin, I've defended Emperor a lot. Actually watching him play on a good team has made me realize that he's actually like fallen off quite a lot for how he was when he was on Blaze in 2014. Emperor's aggressive and he's all right in lane, but he doesn't really team fight particularly well, and he never really dominates a game. So my issue is that okay, so Trick might play all right against Blank. That might go okay, and what's his name in the mid lane for G2? Perks, that's it. Might do okay in lane versus Faker, but the problem is that like Duke is a much better top laner than King is. That is not even comparable. Like this is one of those situations where like you can't you will never know what it is like. You will never know how good a foreign top laner is until they play against elite level Korean top laner, because every single time the foreign top lane Hope gets wrecked by a Korean. Like that is the position I would say that there is always the biggest discrepancy in terms of like their ability to like impact the map as a whole, as it were. So you look at like the amount of good top laners in LCK and then the amount of good top laners in the rest of the world combined. Like it's not even comparable. You know what I mean? Like last year at Worlds, Huni was like, came in with all this hype and this promise. He got fucking annihilated by Smeb. Like this is going to be the same situation.
He got reverse champion and then just got completely.
Yeah, Smeb styled on him. Smeb styled on him in a World semi-final. Like beat him played Riven into his Fiora, into his Hecarim quite happily. Then did the reverse.
Oh, that was so good to reverse one, the Hecarim.
Like, and then at one point 3v1 the rest of Fnatic kind of thing. Yeah, like in that, and turned around and 3v1 top lane gang.
Okay, but you said G2 is worse than Fnatic was last year, but Fnatic last year after finals didn't look great at all. We're mostly remembering them because they went like 5 games with SKT, which at the time wasn't the most amazing team anymore anyway. But
this is my point, and the worst part is now Korea's on a more level pegging for the rest of MSI than they were last time, because last time they finished the finals, got on a plane, went to MSI. Now they finished the finals, had a good week to sit around, chill, a week and a half actually, sit around, chill, practice, prepare, then they get to go to MSI. Boom, kind of thing. Like, and they don't even have to have that huge jet lag they had before, because it's in China now. So they just get on a plane, they're there in like an hour. I don't know how long it is to go from Seoul to Beijing or Shanghai. I don't fucking know China. But I can't imagine it's more than 2-hour flight. It's not like planes are that slow.
No, I definitely don't think they're gonna drop a game. Like the level of disparity right now is at least as big as Worlds or even bigger.
Yeah, and like the worst part is as well is like here's the other reason as well. So the Chinese finals, which I did watch, was not a particularly competitive final. Royal Never Give Up won, whereas I don't think Royal Never Give Up are actually a very good team. Like
it was like you saw EDG do all the aggressive stuff, but at the end, Royal Never Give Up won the game. It's like,
yeah, wow. and here's my big issue as well. It's like I've seen Royal Never Give Up play internationally this year, IEM World Championships, and they got beat by like, you know, foreign teams who didn't even make it to MSI because they weren't good enough in their own region, kind of thing. Like, this is truly the darkest timeline for China. Like, it's actually probably going to be
actually pretty.
Like, China really needs to reform everything in Time for Worlds, because the way they're playing right now is not working. These teams aren't improving, and it's like the worst when I watch Chinese teams play as well is they both lack the Chinese aggression and this Korean smart. So they just have this kind of like weird hybrid between the two where they try and play aggressive but like smartly. It just doesn't work. Like. So I can't see a situation where SKT drop a game. No, I have predicted results wrongly before. I've written 4,000 word articles about, you know, been spectacularly wrong. But
yeah,
I know Korea.
That was Korea versus Korea, though.
Korea versus Korea. That's you're excused.
Yeah, I can predict Korean versus foreign team results. Here's how you do it. You just say the Korean team's going to win.
You just add up the amount of Koreans, and you pick that team that has the most of them.
Which is always a Korean team because they're only the one allowed to have 5.
In a way, even though I would have preferred it if Rox Tigers went to Worlds because I wanted to see certain Rox players play internationally. MSI's, i.e. Peanut. In terms of like guaranteeing that Korea wins MSI, it's actually better that SKT do it because SKT has such a horrendously high international win rate. Like it's in like 85, 90% or something like that.
It's stupid.
Like, and every single time as well, like, even if like the enemy mid laner does well against Faker in lane, it doesn't matter because he just bodies team fights. So and then like the worst part is as well is you're bang in the bottom lane now, and this.
I would say that's the issue we haven't brought up. It's just fucking Bang has become something of a monster.
Like I talk about all the time in like SKT is this 1-2 punch that they do, and they do this 1-2 punch that's reminiscent of Samsung Blue in 2014 and the way that Dade and Def played around each other. But like. It's a legitimate thing that it's just impossible. It's seemingly impossible, like a mountain to climb kind of thing. Like you can't put those two out of the game. You can't stop them having a huge impact in team fights. And they're the kind of players who, if they get an impact in team fights, will just body everything. And if either one of them gets a lead, they just carry. That's all they do. They just carry that game.
You can't put both of them out at the same time, and you need that because that's why I say that they're not going to lose the game. Is because. Yeah, Maple's pretty good, and I think Maple can go toe-to-toe against Faker, but NL versus Bang is going to be fucking murder, like mass murder. I think Perks can do pretty well against Faker, but Emperor is going to get body bagged by Bang. And that's the issue, is that all the teams I think that may have a chance to beat SKT in one lane, the other lane is going to be fucking dead.
And it's not even beating, you know, it's more like...
going even. Like, he can hold his own. He can... hopefully not die, lose a couple CS here, lose a couple CS there, and do well. But the other lanes are going to get fucking murdered.
Yeah, and by the way, this CLG at Worlds, that is not going to happen. And I'll tell you,
CLG in playoffs. They're not making the bracket stage.
MSI, like this will be as bad as TSM were at MSI last time because CLG are a team that have proven they can't compete internationally. They've tried over and over again, and every time they fail.
I would agree, but we still, with China being that much lower, there's that weird off chance that they somehow could beat China and then make fourth, but it's no.
I would say CLG is one of my most favorite NA teams because they understand their weakness in games and they play around it rather better than most other teams where they know what they need to do to relieve like the stress on their weaker players. And they're able to play around that. The issue being is that if a game, Counterlogic Gaming, goes against RNG, and they play for a 30-plus minute game, who's going to have the better mastermind, Mata or Afromu? I would put my money on Mata because Mata has boosted this team to fucking where they are now. And then you play against MLXG versus Xmith.
Yeah, that's also big.
That's a huge disadvantage. And then you have there's just too many disadvantages I see in just sheer players. And then what CLG is able to do with their team and understanding what to do and how to play the game and work as a unit falls apart when you think about the brains they have to go against.
And the other problem as well is that CLG have a pretty weak roster for competing in NA, like domestically. Like when you compare some of the individual players they have to other teams and stuff like that, this is a team that does not stack up well at all internationally. Like, this is not a team full of no one on that team has ever played well internationally. Just let that sink in there for a second. Who on that team has ever delivered internationally? Aframu did not look good at last World Championship.
No, I was gonna say Aframu, but he didn't. He hasn't looked really great internationally.
I can't remember if Xmidi was actually with Vulcan, but he was with Vulcan, but like, did they do well? I mean, no, they didn't.
I think he got one early leave versus.
They didn't do well because they should have done better.
I would just say that game that's so far like removed.
And that's like 3 years ago now.
I know, but you're making it. No, but
yeah, they did have some, but they still didn't make out of groups.
No, Vulcan, Vulcan was bad because they should have been better at Worlds.
They didn't make it out of groups when Samsung White, or was it MVP White at the time? MVP Ozone, Ozone like basically shit the bed.
Oh yeah,
they still couldn't get out.
They just switched to Samsung.
Right afterwards, yeah.
I think the fall of NA League of Legends and the fall of Chinese League of Legends is actually weirdly like mirroring each other, because I think these are two regions that actually overall rely on imported talent rather than their own sort of domestic players, and I think that this is systematic of like the sort of like the problem with the region basically is China aren't allowing their domestic talent to develop well enough. And it's the same for NA, but they also have less of that domestic talent as well.
I'd say they have almost no domestic talent.
That is an issue.
The issue being is that they only have 2, and there's some teams that for some reason refuse to have 2, which is making it even more difficult for a team from. This may sound like super hate, but until NA has a team that has 5 Koreans or 4 Koreans and 1 English that can speak the language, you're not going to have a team that wins internationally. I just don't think the NA players have enough quality, and the fact that there's so many imports that are now running around in these teams that you're never going to get a team with 5 players from North America do well. And unless you have people that can speak the same language, and English is not an easy language to learn.
What players? Because I know that next summer,
next year is like the best chance for
Insec and I think Mystic as well. And no, not Mystic, but Insec and Zero definitely become Chinese presidents next split. And you can see that like this gives World Elite and RNG certain options that they can use. Are there any NA play? Are there any like imports that become?
The issue I'd say there though is that Insec isn't as good as he used to be, and I think it would be, even if though he has the ability to speak Korean, he's the detriment.
No, he's not as good as he used to be, but when he is still competent and still distinctive in his play style. So if you can find enough of an appropriate role on him in a team, he can still play well. Like right now, you have to evaluate him as a Chinese jungler, not evaluate him as a.
I still think MLXG.
But MXG is better.
MXG is better, but at least means they can sell Insect to another team that are struggling for jungler talent.
No, they should do that.
That's why they acquired him, is because they've got value that they can sell on to a team that.
100% agree with that.
So and Zero as well. Like Zero is actually still pretty legit. I think when I watch World Elite's games, I still actually play. So like he's another player as well, because now he's actually a Chinese support. So and now like now World Elite have an entirely Korean bot lane, and then they can get like some other Korean player in another role that they're lacking in, maybe the top lane or something like that. So I'm digressing. If I had to rank the teams at MSI, here's how I would do it. So SKT number 1, clear, no problem with that one at all. G2 number 2. Now again, I don't know whether that's because I'm European, so therefore there's probably some part of my brain that's inherently biased towards European teams.
But they're pretty good.
Flash Wolves number 3. RNG number 4. CLG number 5, and then obviously the Turkish team number 6. That's how I would rank them.
Bird team.
Bird team. What Big Blue Bird? It's not. No, it's Big Bird was yellow, wasn't he?
No, it's a blue bird. It's just their team name is very embarrassing to utter out loud.
Massive esports.
Super massive.
Yeah, super. Not that big or important at all. Esports. So that's how I would rank the teams. I don't know if that's the same for
only change I would do is G2 and Flash Wolves.
Maybe I haven't seen
And that's just purely because I've watched some of the Flash Wolves and I like how they play. I think that's probably the closest two teams we have is G2 and Flash Wolves are the closest two teams where I think there's a significant drop off every time you go down.
That's actually probably the closest I think that MSI will deliver in terms of like a really close like
match.
and sort of like high level best of 5 is Flash Wolves versus G2, which is probably about the level.
Let's hope they actually get to play each other.
Yeah,
Well, they play each other twice.
Yeah, but not in best of 5. I mean,
I know, but like you would, it just means as long as one comes second, the other one comes third, they would get to play each other.
Oh yeah, I still expect them to have to play the best of 5. I think
But
that Girl Never Give Up is going to play against SKT in the semifinals, first versus fourth.
my point is the G2 a G2 versus Flash Wolves best of 5 is probably around the same level as like a CJ Entus versus like Africa best of 5, I would say. Which is not a slight on those teams, because I think that Africa and CJ.
I was gonna say that's a pretty positive.
At least this splits Africa. They played very.
I would assume this split.
Yeah.
It would be.
So that's
Actually,
probably
otherwise it
around
would
the-
be rude. But
That's probably around the level of what I would say. I'm hesitant to compare either of them to Longzhu because I think that they lack the individual talent that Longzhu have, but they have much better teamwork than Longzhu. So it's like I would pick Longzhu to beat them just because I think they would just kind of just overpower them sheerly and like sort of just sort of brute force their way through really through superior mechanics. But I could definitely see G2 beating either CJ Entus or Africa because I think they stack up individually well in really nearly all roles except for Kramer versus Emperor and Kramer versus NL. But then they would have I just think like bubbling when CJ Entus would do poorly versus Trick, which is ironic. And so yeah, I would say that like if you're kind of a person who only really watches Korean League of Legends, which is perfectly acceptable to do, I would say that probably you're expecting like a sort of 6th to 8th place sort of level series from Flash Wolves versus G2, but it still should be interesting because it's always interesting to watch two teams from different regions which have no contact with each other play against each other because you see a lot of kind of differing philosophies clash against each other.
Yep.
Players.
The real question is, will Supermassive win a game?
No. Oh wait, no, they might be CLG.
My issue is I don't know how good they are individually, and I think that's the only way to beat CLG is that they individually stop lane.
Dumbledore just solo killed Faker. I mean, not solo killed, but I mean he helped kill Faker one time.
Oh yeah, well is he even playing on Supermassive Esports?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, he is.
They brought him.
Yeah, that's right. Because they acquired Beskitas' TCL spot. I was about to say LCK TCL spot. So yeah, it's just Fabulous, Daldrins, Dumaged, Naru, Aku, and Dumbledoge.
Chew, so the people can say "God bless you."
Yeah.
I'm going to guarantee you, a caster is going to make that joke probably a lot of times. That's like every game they play, you're gonna hear it. And Chew goes in for the kill. God bless you.
Oh, Freak will already make it. He'll probably like sneeze and then be like, "Oh, sorry, I just had an Achu," but it was really impressive, wasn't it?
If you want to have those good jokes, you can watch Robin Hood Men Tights, where it's done well. So.
Anyway, so yeah, that's probably how I would rank it. I would say that there will be obviously the odd upset along the way, but I would say that Flash Wolves will probably come third, G2 will probably come second, and then we will see one best of 5 between the two of them, which will probably go to about 5 games and be quite a sort of entertaining best of 5.
Probably the only really entertaining aspect of this. Outside of stomps that are fun to watch, but
the problem with MSI as a tournament is that when you only invite the first place teams, you only invite the first place Korean team. So not only do you limit the amount of teams that play, generally the first place Korean team is the one that really, really wrecks. Like when you think about it realistically, the best team in Korea is generally the one that just kind of just crushes everything. I think the only time the first place Korean team has ever failed to win an international event
was MSI last year.
was MSI last year.
Oh yeah,
and then IEM as well. But
Yeah,
we're so
season
far
2.
past that great Korean exodus now that it's not even kind of worth
Well, if you look
considering.
at season 3, 4, and 5 worlds, you have the number 1 beating the number 2
Yeah,
in
at some point.
in a semifinals, a quarterfinals, or the finals.
Yeah, like so. I think that like sometimes the third place Korean team can like show entertaining games versus foreign teams because the third place Korean team will have some kind of problem that foreign teams can exploit and vice versa and whatnot. Generally, the first place Korean team is a bit of a kind of different animal. It's generally quite a well-oiled machine in terms of how they think about the game and the rotations they use. And then the faker factor when you talk about international play as well, it's just so poignant. Like you just can't ignore a player of that kind of quality. And then he's also got his right-hand man, Bang, he's just going to like shoot you from a mile away from
And
the
then you have
bazooka.
Duke, who is a dominant laner. Like that's my. I just don't see anything able to prevent SKT from winning. I see Flash Wolves and G2 being really close. RNG having the better mind over CLG, but not the better enough players to really maybe challenge G2 and Flash Wolves.
I actually kind of thought it'd be the opposite with RNG versus CLG. I actually thought that CLG are probably a smarter team, but RNG just force it just because they're pretty much superior in every role.
I think Mata is smarter than CLG.
Yeah, well, he himself, but the team, like the team necessarily doesn't make smart decisions. Like even with him, it's just like the team fight a lot better, probably.
Yeah, like I mean, you think about it, like Looper versus Zion. Okay, like that one's kind of irrelevant because it's Looper.
We did see Looper become like get so much praise coming out of his ass for literally being Mata's puppet.
Yeah, and then you've got like MLXG versus Xmithy. Like, I mean, they're both kind of like a regional, like sort of jungle hero, but I think MLXG is actually a better player in terms of the way you think, and also he's more integral to the way the team operates as well. But Xmithy is just kind of like Xmithy for me is like a supporting character on CLG. He's just kind of there. He does stuff, you know, like he's never integral to the way the game functions. And then like Huhi versus like the RNG mid laner whose name escapes me, Shayu. His laning is really really good. Like
that's
Huhi's big weaknesses in his lane is in his laning phase kind of thing. So, and then like Stixay versus
Name or
versus Whoosh.
Whoosh is so much better.
Like Whoosh is really really insane. Like I mean, I always bring up that series that they played versus King, where he played Vayne all 5 games, and like they played versus Snake. He was on King at the time, and like it was stupid that he played Vayne all those times, but his Vayne mechanics were so legit. I was like, I actually understand why you're doing this, because in your mind you're just like, I could just boss everything on Vayne, and there was so many times he did like. And he had that ability just like to dodge skill shots at like point blank range with a tumble kind of thing. It was like really enjoyable to watch. Whereas Stixay was not good in that final, not good at all. Like he really shit bed. It was just the double.
Now the winner of that final was Gragas's barrel saving CLG because it disengaged for them when it was attempting to engage for TSM.
Yeah, so. I'll watch MSI and I'll enjoy it because I enjoy League of Legends. I enjoy it at international level, but I won't find it. I don't think it'll be a competitive tournament really, save for one best of 5.
You're gonna have some fun times where SKT just completely.
The group stage is gonna be pretty funny because of the skill differentials, but not competitive. And maybe you'll see a stupid upset here and there. You know, that can happen always. But in the end, seems pretty at least. We definitely don't know who's gonna win, but the rest was.
I would bet £100 on SKT winning MSI if the odds weren't like 1 for 1. So I get like you know £110, which doesn't make me know that
stupid like that. Yeah.
Yeah, which like.
At least in the Worlds they were at 2.2, 1 to 2.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the betting is probably the greatest idea, but
no,
because it's a double round robin, we get to see the great CL. Like we're gonna see a great rivalry come out with SKT and Supermassive esports, right? I mean, this is my issue is that you already brought up that you only have the first place team, so you don't like of each region, so you don't really get great enough rivalries or anything. But we're having a double round robin. Where there's only really like 3 like good teams, 2 decent teams, and then 1 international team. there's gonna be a lot of like snooze games where it's like,
Yeah.
gotta find something to keep me occupied for about an hour.
Snooze or like complete
Just not watch.
shitfest where they just go ham all the time. That would be complete
Yeah.
bloodbaths and stuff.
Sounds
Yeah,
about
but a
right.
shit fest between two garbage teams is still not entertaining. As we've seen with SBENU and Kongdoo when they played, was just fucking garbage.
Yeah, that was pretty garbage.
Yeah.
Those were Korean teams. That was.
And we've seen Korean teams that are just two bad teams playing. It's like I don't want to watch this. Like we've had two teams that are good, and
But in general, the point is with the Korean teams that they're mostly like are playing very defensive, so nothing happens.
yes,
At least with the national teams, you have more chance that something will happen the whole game. Not necessarily, but
Yeah. Is there anything else to discuss about MSI?
no, we'll see next week after the first couple of.
yeah, we'll talk
You
about
get-
we'll talk about
games.
little bracket stage next week. But
Anyone's wondering why we didn't go super in depth on like foreign teams because it's called career talk. You know, like
who gives a shit? SKT's gonna win.
Plus,
we
I
talked-
mean, it's also like a new meta and stuff, so let's just see what happens after the first week, and then we
Yeah.
can talk about it more.
I can analyze games when I've seen them, as it were. I'm just not an authority on any of these teams. I watched some of their games. I watched the finals that they played in, but and the semi-finals. But I can't like accurately say, whatever. But I would say that SKT, G2, Flash Wolves, RNG, CLG is probably a pretty accurate ranking for how these teams actually stack up. I would say.
It's most people give it kind of.
Yeah, so all of our expectations for bracket stage then would be first SKT versus fourth RNG.
Yep.
And then second and third would be Flash and G2.
Yeah. That's how
You
I
just have the second and third kind of switched for a couple.
Yeah,
That's irrelevant.
that's. I mean, it all depends also on like the one team gets like one more win or something.
Like
I would
second
say
and
that-
third are more or
would-
less irrelevant.
I would say that the likelihood that RNG make third is actually higher than the likelihood that CLG make fourth.
I would agree.
Probably, yeah. I don't.
I mean, I said in a tweet before, like if you're a fan of NA as a whole and you want NA to do well, you should not be rooting for CLG because this is not a team that's going to perform well internationally. This is actually a sign that all it takes to win NA is smart rotations and good shot calling.
Yeah.
If TSM was able to have smartly rotate and had good shot calling, they probably could have beaten
They'd be
CLG.
here.
But they didn't have that, so they lost. Like that's why they replaced their coaching staff, and that's why they benched their team captain and shot caller was for that reason. So, yeah. Anything else we want to talk about on the show at all?
No, there was nothing much to talk about this week.
No.
Just wanted to do a little review of the promotion games and.
A lot of articles about MSI. There's quite a few good ones, and a couple of them that I laughed at their rankings. But
Yeah, you can read those. All right, so
enjoy all the good coverage. We'll be back for bracket stage MSI in episode 35.
Oh, he remembers now.
CN35, we nearly at our gold. Wait, is this a silver wedding anniversary episode?
I don't know what's silver.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Isn't it 30 years silver, 40?
Oh yeah, that's right.
golds?
30. Oh damn it, we missed it. All right, so we just got.
Oh, we missed the silver wedding. Oh, poor
Just
us.
got it for gold at 50.
The 34th anniversary is Opal.
Okay, bye.